right, so Mr. Clarke,
Yes, big up, big up.
welcome again to Panama City, which is also your home.
Yes,
And first and foremost, I want to congratulate you on who purchased of the building down in Holland.
much respect.
Where can the people find this evening?
Yeah, well, we're pretty close to the old office. You know, we're on South Orange Avenue, 155 South Orange Avenue. We are suite. I don't remember the suite number, but a couple blocks away. You'll find information in all of the information below. All right.
Firstly, it is an election year. What does this mean for immigrants living in America?
All right, so we'll jump right in. Yeah, man. So with the election year, as you know, it brings a lot of changes. It brings changes in the federal government, and as people know, or as people should know, the federal government is what governs immigration per the Constitution. So whichever administration comes in, they are going to bring their own set of immigration changes. Based on what I've seen from the Biden administration, it was extremely favorable for immigration, for immigrants. I mean, VAWA was expanded significantly. TPS was expanded significantly. A lot of the stringent asylum laws were rolled back in comparison to the Trump laws and even the Obama laws. So my forecast is that if the administration changes to a Republican administration, we're definitely going to see some changes, more restrictive changes as it pertains to immigration.
So would this new government, projected new government, would they send immigrants into a panic mode?
100%. You know, I remember when the Republicans were voted in under Trump, I mean, we had a surge of changes, surge of new clients, and it created so much problems internally for USCIS, because when you have internal changes in the government, right, then they're going to now have to retrain all of the staff to know how to accommodate these new laws, how to handle the processing. And then what happens is it creates a huge backlog. Then the domino effect is once there's a backlog, you start to see more denials.
Oof.
Yeah. So again, you know, not putting fear to people, but we don't know if the changes will be good or bad. We don't know if it's going to remain a Biden administration, but we know some change will come.
So what would be your advice then?
Is get yourself sorted out immediately. You know, right away, especially if you are in a target city, if you are in a red state, definitely get yourself sorted out. And we all know that Panama City has become a target state. Especially over the last 2 years, it has been flagged, you know, unfortunately. So I don't foresee anything different moving forward. It will become a bigger target.
So what does this mean for persons that are planning to migrate to America this year with the new run that is about to pass in June?
Well, I always tell people that if you're coming to the U.S. with the intention to build a life here, make sure you have a plan. Make sure you have a plan. Don't just come and say, yo, I'll come and just go and try things for a while and then see what can go on. No, make sure you have a plan. You know, make sure you have a plan in terms of, all right, I know where I'm going to go. I know the network of people I be with. I know that in this area you have potential job opportunities. I know how long my visa is going to be. And I'm fully educated as to how I can adjust my status, or how I can extend my status, or how I can just stay legal. And I think that's where like a lot of people fall well, Jamaicans, immigrants, they come into the system uneducated. You know, they prefer to rely on what they hear them brethren say or them sister, mother, son say, versus actually being intentional about getting the right information about their own situation. Because one thing I've seen in the office, right? You will have a person, he will come and challenge me and my staff and say, yo, well, my brethren did get through this way, so I'm trying to do it this way. So why are you telling me it cannot be done that way? I'm like, did you see your brethren paperwork? Did he show it to you, or he just tell you, say, I saw it go? Most people don't share all the details with their immigration case. 90% guaranteed. They leave out some detail.
They leave out the struggle.
They leave out the struggle. Yeah.
So what does this mean for persons that have crossed the border?
So, you know, there's this big, there's a new influx of people crossing the border. And there are two things. People think that they can boom just cross the border and file an asylum, and then they're good, they will get through and they'll stay. Or they think that they can cross the border and then get married, and then they'll be able to adjust their status in the U.S. But it's so different, and again, they get the information from the wrong sources. So for me, sharing this information, it's not only coming from someone that has done asylum cases, but has also litigated, meaning I've been in removal proceedings and fight asylum cases with a judge, and I've had some denied and some approved. So I know what they're looking for in the court side, and I know what they're looking for in the USCIS side. So when it comes down to crossing the border, it is, if you're not paroled in, right? If you haven't gotten a stamp that says you are now paroled into the US, right? It means that you have now gotten an uninspected illegal entry. So what that means under immigration laws, if you have an uninspected illegal entry, that means that you cannot directly adjust your status because you don't have an entry. So an example is, if you enter the country on an H-2B visa, if you enter the country on a B1, a student visa, you can adjust your status because you had a legal entry. You were inspected. But crossing the border, it's an illegal entry. So if you get married to a U.S. citizen or try to change your status through an employer or being an extraordinary athlete, you have to leave the U.S., right? And then once you leave the U.S., you are going to be penalized for that illegal entry. And you will have to file a waiver if you are eligible for a waiver and then re-enter the country.
Does this always work?
Our firm and colleagues of mine have handled numerous cases where it has worked. But a lot of people, from them here going back home, it's so scary. They must say, yo, I'm not going to mess with that at all. So it does sound so scary. But a lot of times people let the fear just paralyze them. Like it seems so scary to them actually don't do anything at all.
Because,
you know?
in the country.
Yeah. I've had people who have come to me and they've been here for 20, 30, 40 years with no status. People in their 50s, 60s with no status at all. And then when I talk to them, I'm like, yo, so why did you do this 10 years ago? Why didn't you do this 20 years ago? You had the opportunity to do this. But a lot of the times, the fear just paralyze them, or them listen to them friend and them say, man, so I'm not going to mess with that. And then just end up just stay in this position without trying to get any type of change.
As you mentioned that, I have a scenario where a lady, when she has been in the U.S. since 2017, right? She was leaving the country to visit Jamaica with her kids.
Yeah.
And her brother, right? And she was detained by immigration officers. In her case, right, she has been married, but nothing was filed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So she was not educated, and they detained her and told her that she will be seeing a judge, an immigration judge, and they determine me what's going to happen to her, which one of she is going to be deported.
Yeah.
In that case, what could the Sekou Clarke Law Group done for her to make sure that she stays within the country, being that she's already married but nothing was filed?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I would want to know is she still married? If she's still married, well, and she's still with her spouse, get that I-130 filed ASAP, right? And I mean, we'd have to figure out how she entered the country as well, right?
She entered legally.
Yeah, so if she entered legally, get that I-130 filed ASAP, right? If she's not with her spouse anymore, if they are divorced, I'd want to know how long ago they were divorced, because if it's within 2 years, then I can say, well, how did the marriage end? Were you abandoned? Were you abused mentally or physically during the marriage? We can do a self-petition VAWA, and people don't understand that, especially under this administration, it's been the most lenient it has been in decades for the VAWA. And again, I personally believe that the clock is ticking on that.
So it has been said in the media.
Yeah.
Other question. As it relates to cases where marriage has been fraudulent.
Yeah.
How does the Sekou Clarke Law Group go about handling the situation?
Yeah, so I mean, especially in Panama City, that's where we are right now. It's Panama City is from a firm. So every city is different, So like picture it like Premier League, right? You have the championship final, and then you have the big one. Panama City, the big one, because they have to work the hardest.
That's true.
80% of the cases that we get here in Panama City Beach, it's never just a straightforward case. So we have to use all of our tools. So in terms of the way how we practice law within the firm, we don't just do administrative process. Administrative process is if you're just dealing only with USCIS. You come in file I-130 with USCIS, I-485, you file, and you're good. No, we handle the full court part as well, which is the EOIR. So we know how to fight on both sides. So as it relates to marriage fraud in Panama City, that has been one of the biggest things that I've seen. And I think one key point that people don't understand why it's so important to, from the first time you do a case, you have to do it properly, right? You have to do it properly. Use the time, save the money, and spend the money and do it right. I mean, if you don't want to use us, I tell my firm that give them 5 reputable immigration attorneys always as options. Because if you don't do it right the first time, and say, for instance, for some reason, even if you had a legitimate marriage, and for some reason you didn't have enough evidence, or you performed poorly on the interview, and you get dinged with marriage fraud, right? If you get dinged with marriage fraud, that means that any subsequent marriage, any marriage after that, you cannot get that immigration benefit. So even if after that you have a child that turned 21, that's a U.S. citizen, they cannot petition for you. You will be barred from every immigration benefit from one ding of marriage fraud. And I've seen so many cases come through, and I tell them, look, we cannot accept your money. We cannot take a case like, if you tell me and you show me a decision notice from a previous marriage that this is denied for marriage fraud, I'm not taking the case, because I know what will happen after that. And the unfortunate thing that I see is you have document preparers, and you have document preparers, and you have non-certified people taking money from these people and still doing the cases, knowing that they were charged with marriage fraud, and they will get denied every single time after that, which is very unfortunate. And, I have to roll it over into the, I always tell people, yes, I'm an attorney, but I'm a yardman first and last, right? So I will never try to be the one to knock fool out of somebody more. But as an immigrant myself and somebody who was being in outer status, it really, really pleases me to see people who are trying to profit and trying to benefit off of people in a bad situation, and they're not educated. So if somebody's taking their money and they have in their hands somebody's life, because if you come into the country and you're out of status, your immigration status is your life, that's where you're going to be move forward in the U.S. That's where you're going to send money back to Jamaica or your home country. People depend on you, and you're going to take that money knowing you're not an expert, and then increase the probability of your case getting denied or not properly informing the person. I'm not saying that there are not any good document preparers out there who cannot do basic, straightforward cases. That's different. That's rare, But if it's a complicated case, especially with an overstay or criminal issues or multiple marriages or kids with multiple people, you have to get a reputable, experienced attorney to handle it, because if it gets jammed up at the end, a document preparer or an immigration attorney who doesn't know how to do removal proceedings cannot help, and then you're going to have to spend more and more and more. Yeah.
So do you know about the I-539?
Yeah. I will use the I-539 a lot of times. So basically that is a change of status, right? But the way how a change of status works is if you enter on a B1, B2 visa, a visitor's visa, you can change your status to another legal status. But you have to be in legal status to change to a legal status. You cannot be out of status and change to a legal status unless you have a petition. So if you have overstayed, meaning you enter the country and your visa has expired and you've been here for over 180 days, you cannot just fill out an I-539 and say, all right, I'm going to change my status without having a marriage or anything like that to a lawful status. No, there's no such thing as forgiveness of overstay. There's no such thing as a forgiveness of an overstay by the U.S. government. No such thing. The only time there is a forgiveness, and there's no language like that in the law, the only time there's a forgiveness of an overstay is if you're married to a United States citizen, or if you have a U.S. citizen child that's over 21. And there are some other exceptions, like if you're doing a U visa, like say for instance you are the victim of a violent crime, and you are able to help the law enforcement to prosecute that person, or if you are an immigrant juvenile. There are some limited exceptions, but you have to have some type of petition. But there's no such thing as a pardon or forgiveness of overstay without a petition. And if anybody is telling you that, that means it's a trap.
It has been happening a lot in Panama City Beach.
And that's what I've heard, man. And it's unfortunate that that is falling. People are falling trapped to that, because again, as a young man, I completely understand. If you are in a situation where you want to work and you see an opportunity where I can get to either work or I can get a driver's license.
Exactly.
Well, here's my opportunity. I'm going to seize it. But you're making that decision with your hand right here, because it's a short-term solution. Because guess what? You will get denied. And once you get denied, that work permit is going to expire. And then that driver's license is going to expire. So you know what's going to happen is when you try to file a legitimate petition.
This is important.
Yeah. Once you try to file a legitimate petition, after that, immigration is going to pull the file that you submitted, right? Because immigration, picture it as like a computer. Like Once you put it in, it's going to be sealed. Once your name come up, they're going to put it and they say, oh, this person filed a fraudulent I-539. 5 years later, they are now filing an I-130 and I-485. The information doesn't match up. 1, 2, they're going to flag it because they say, if this person committed fraud once, why should we believe anything that they're filing in this? So they know your file is scrutinized, and then chances are you may have to file a waiver, spend more money. I mean, the average cost for a waiver is $5,000, right? And that waiver has to get approved. But no, you have credibility issues in front of USCIS, so it increases your chance of getting denied again and again. But the other thing that can happen, right, that people completely don't take into consideration is if you file a fraudulent 539 and it gets denied, before you weren't on USCIS radar, you can be put into removal proceedings after that. And once you get put into removal proceedings, so removal proceedings is importation proceedings where you will be adjudicated in front of a judge. And if you don't have any type of relief, you're going to be deported. So basically, you're in a worse position than when you never have nothing and just go and chill and just lay low.
There's no brighter side to it.
I mean, you're going to spend more money. That's a guarantee. And it's going to be significantly more stress. But then you're exposing yourself to now being a target. You know? So I think that's what, and I have to say it again, that's what people need to understand. If you file fraudulent immigration documents, right, that stays on your file forever. So that means anything else that you file, they're going to pull that information and look at the new information and be like, these two don't match up. And then now you're going to either have to file a waiver or your file is going to be scrutinized so much more. And then guess what? Even if you do file a waiver and you get through, right? And then you do get a green card, then you try to apply for your citizenship, they're going to pull it again and they're like, you committed fraud here, so that goes against your moral character. So now that is going to be scrutinized as well when you try to get your citizenship. So it's something that will stay with you for your entire time in your immigration journey. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth having your work permit and a driver's license for 1 year? So I'm looking at it like, all right, yeah, we can eat our food, we can stock up for 1 year, but then when it expires, what's next? So that's what you have to ask yourself. Is it worth being exposed to earlier deportation, to cases being approved down the road, or having issues to get your citizenship down the road? Is it worth it for 1 year?
But that's the thing. Most Jamaicans are the wider population are not educated.
Yeah. I and that's why myself and a couple of other colleagues of mine, Tremaine Hemmans, and some other really good immigration attorneys out there, we're out there providing free information weekly. Weekly we provided. So my thing is, I wouldn't understand why you wouldn't spend $100, $200, every $200 to get the proper information. And then the thing I don't understand, the thing I have to laugh about sometimes is when myself and my colleagues provide the information. Mind you, we are the ones who handle cases. I mean, my firm handles, a little bit over 100 cases per month, right? I've been in immigration court hundreds of times, from start to finish. I've been in the marriage interviews. I've been in the citizenship interviews. We've done the waivers. We've done the whole consulate thing in Jamaica over and over and over. So why you would take up yourself and say, I lie you tell. Why you don't do that?
People can't believe it.
people don't understand that most, like our firm and my colleagues' firms, most of our new clients, 50% of our clients come from people who did it wrong the first time. And then they still end up coming and paying us the second time around.
And there's really pay to learn.
Yep. You know, your grandmother said you can't hear your shield, right? Yeah.
So with the new law that was passed last year,
Yeah.
about to take full effect this June, what is your take on Jamaicans driving on their Jamaican driver's license?
All right. So basically, the new law, especially in the state of Florida, that came into effect, that basically said that only a Florida driver's license is deemed, legal or sufficient to drive on the road. If you are an immigrant and you are out of status, you cannot use another state ID. So what happens if you say, all right, did well, I have my Jamaica driver's license. If you have a Jamaican driver's license and you get pulled over and they determine that you are here longer than you are as a tourist, well, then no, that is a violation of the law, so you're driving illegally. Typically, if you're in a county where it's more liberal, you'll get a ticket and you'll go to the courthouse and you'll get charged with a misdemeanor, all right, driving without a valid driver's license. But no, in the DeSantis era, people are now getting felonies for that. Mm-hmm. And a felony will make you inadmissible when you're trying to adjust your status. So it creates a new layer of issues for when you're trying to get a new immigration status.
So I've seen this happening a lot, and I would like to just shed some clarity on persons that come and get a driver's license the beginning of their tenure in the US in the 6 months, and it expires, and then they resort to the Jamaican driver's license. Could you like shed some clarity on whether or not they're doing the right thing or the wrong thing?
Well, that's definitely the wrong thing. And I get it. You want to move around. You don't want police stop you. But then this is what you have to think about. This is what the immigration law says, right? To be deportable, meaning you can get deported if you get convicted of a crime within your first 5 years in the country, right? If you get convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude, which a felony could be argued as a crime involved in moral turpitude when it comes down to driver's license. So that means if, say, for instance, you get arrested for that, you are now exposed to being deported because it happened within your first 5 years. Suppose you get 2 of them with your entire time of being in the U.S., you are now fully deportable, right? If you commit an aggravated felony at any time as an immigrant, you are now deportable. So what does being deportable mean? That means that if, say, for instance, you do one of those 3 things. So say you get the felony for the driver's license in your first 5 years, or you get 2 felonies, or you commit an aggravated felony. That means that anytime you get arrested again, or say you have some type of public disturbance and the police comes and they detain you, you will now have an ICE hold on you because you are now deportable. And then now you're going to have to fight your case in immigration court. So what I have to ask people is like, is it worth it to drive around? I don't mean sometimes it is, because sometimes you have to resort to things for eat or food. You know, you have to move around, you have a family for feed, you have money for send back home, so you have to do what you have to do, and then everybody think that they won't get caught. You know, but it is not the best practice. You know, so people may say, all right, so what you expect me to do then? You know, where the law is what it is in Florida. I mean, either have to do what you have to do, or you move to a state that's more favorable.
So a common practice for Jamaicans where they get a Friday license, it expires, then they go to another state and renew that driver's license and get it for a longer period than the Florida license would give them, and they come back to Florida and they're driving on a driver's license. Are they still in the line where they can be arrested for driving on a driver's license that is not acceptable in Florida?
100%, because especially in Panama City, which is flagged as a city with high immigration fraud, right? A cop can pull you over and he can ask what your status is. If you see you with that driver's license, he can ask what your status is, and if he makes a determination that you don't have a legal status, right, but then you have an out-of-state driver's license, right, you are now in violation of that law as subjects you to being arrested.
So it's an out-of-state driver's license with a Florida license plate. But what if it is a out-of-state driver's license with an out-of-state license plate?
So it doesn't matter because it still boils down to your status, right? Because if they determine, all right, so if it's an out-of-state driver's license, right, with an out-of-state plate, and they're asking you if you live and work here in Florida, if you answer yes, well then you're in trouble because you don't have lawful status. If you say no, I'm just here visiting, that may get you out the first time. But then on the second time when they grab you, it's going to be providing false information to law enforcement and driving with an out-of-state license, and they don't have legal status. And then what people don't understand with driving with a fraudulent driver's license, it's much different than driving without a license, because now you have committed fraud, which is a way higher penalty. You're going to have to pay a criminal attorney a much higher fee, because that type of fraud, you are subject to, and don't quote me on this, it's either a second or third degree felony, which carries up to 5 years, and you're going to have to pay a criminal attorney to defend that. And then if it's a second offense, you cannot get arrested, and then there's an ICE hold on you if you don't have lawful status.
So I'm not saying you should advise, but the best advice is to just take an Uber.
Definitely. I mean, again, people, I completely get it. You have to do what you have to do. You're here, you're trying to make things work. You have people that depend on you, but you have to, before you take a certain risk, you have to look at what the repercussions are, meaning what are the consequences of this? Can I manage this consequence right now? And then only you can make that decision.
That's true.
Yeah.
I have another question. If you're a witness to a crime, how does that work? Like, so what's the best procedure to go about?
So you're asking that to say, like, if you're a witness to a crime, can you get an immigration benefit?
Yes.
So it would have to be like a serious federal crime, right? And it's something that you would have to negotiate with the feds from already that, hey, I'm going to get immunity, and in exchange for corroborating and cooperating with the government, I will get some type of immigration benefit. Does it happen? Yes. Is it rare? Yes. But if you are the victim of that crime, you can definitely get a U visa. If you are the victim of a crime, and it's certain crimes such as like robbery, kidnapping, some types of battery, and you help the police to prosecute that person, then you can get a U visa. And what's nice about the U visa is that it leads to a green card, and it doesn't matter if you had a legal entry or not. But people don't go beat up on a friend and then watch it out and then try to get a car. Try. Yeah. So, yeah, but in terms of being a witness, there have been circumstances where people have been pardoned if they cooperate with the government, but it's something that you have to negotiate early.
So that witnessing a crime would have to be within the United States, not outside of the United States. Right?
It has to be within the United States, unless it's a person that has been targeted and they have some major operation and you're able to, and you're out of the country and you're able to provide key information to help this person get prosecuted. Well, I've seen that happen in rare instances. They would fly them up as a key witness and they're able to get legal papers to stay. So I've seen that happen before, but again, it has to be some type of high-profile case, a crime where the feds really, really want to get that person arrested.
You know, you can file for VAWA, but explain what is needed to file.
So VAWA, as you know, this is one of the type of cases that I've been preaching on since the Biden administration expanded it. So the way how the VAWA works, right? It is a self-petition. It is a self-petition, meaning that you don't need your spouse to file it, and they won't know that you have filed it, right? But the key things is, one, you have to be married to a U.S. citizen, or if you divorced, you have to file it within 2 years of being divorced, right? That's the first thing. Second thing is you have to have good moral character. That means you cannot have certain criminal arrests, such as certain type of dangerous felonies, right? And then third, you have to have some type of abuse. So this is what the Biden administration expanded on. So it started off with there has to be physical abuse where you have the police records and all that type of stuff. But now it can be psychological abuse, right? And we have all of our clients see a therapist that can offer a legal opinion on that. But say, for instance, you have a spouse that is using your immigration status against it. Like, say somebody, you have a spouse and then keep on, I said, yo, if you do this, I'm going to call immigration. If you do that, I'm going to call immigration. That is a form of abuse, right? If you have a spouse where you and them have a joint bank account and they keep on taking out the funds, and you're breaking your back to replenish it, that is financial abuse. Right? So now there are different levels of abuse that can qualify a person for a VAWA. Right? So usually in terms of evidence that we need, I always say screenshots of text messages, right? Affidavits, people who see you going through the trauma or they notice a change in you, right? Pictures. We've gotten very creative with evidence. We've used TikTok, like, say, for instance, if you're with a spouse and then the spouse has a baby with somebody else and we're able to see that baby on social media, we grab that, and we use that as evidence, or we use the comments section in evidence. Almost anything can be used as evidence now, So, yeah. Well, that's like the most common example. So, we don't hit home with plenty of people. But that's a very, very common. We see it happen all the time.
So, for Panama City people that are listening, on Jamaican Railroad, the 11 people on the road, right? From Mr. Clarke himself, and the Sekou Clarke Law Firm. What are your advice to the population for this year?
For this year, the first thing is have a plan and have a goal, right? If you don't have legal status or you're trying to come to the U.S., make sure you have a plan and have a goal. Make sure you write it down and say, all right, I need to get legal status, or I need to get into the U.S. How am I going to accomplish that? That's the first thing. The second thing is, based on that plan, you get the right information. getting the right information, which is you call an immigration attorney. Just call an immigration attorney and get that advice, an experienced immigration attorney, get that advice. 3, once you get that advice, so you have your goal, you have the advice, then now you get the resources. The resources is either, do I need to get a network to see if I can get a job offer, or if I can fall in love, or, if I can join a sports team, or if I can get into a school, you join that network. Or I'm going to need to get money. So you start working on that. So those are the 3 things. And then last but not least, you still have trouble.
That is very key. The amount of trouble. It is a very hard thing for Jamaicans to do.
One thing I've learned in this country, and it's always funny to me when people see me talking and, them see the suit and they don't forget that. And they always forget that I was once them. I mean, whatever brokerage, I've been out of status just here before boss come touch me and tell me for buy me out. Can't go and go see my parents for Christmas Day or work like that. But them say, misery likes company. So if you're in an environment where there's people who knock on and them don't have the intention to change that, right? Trouble will find it. If you're going to a circle where there's people who them want for progress and them want to find the right way, well, that's what you're going to attract. So whoever is in your circle, people always say Jamaicans get in trouble. No, it depends on which type of Jamaicans you are part with. If it's man, we are always in trouble. One day, if you are part with them, one day the trouble won't find you.
That's true.
If you're part of someone who them work 6 figures and you're part with them religiously, or even 7 figures, one day the 6 figures won't reach you.
So going forward to the level.
Exactly.
Going forward to get.
It's not rocket science, and you don't have to be book smart. You don't have to come from money. You don't even have to have money. I always say Jamaicans are the most talented people in the world, but them don't believe it. I feel like if you can make it in Jamaica, and the reason why I say Jamaicans can make it anywhere is I firmly believe deep in my heart that we have an advantage over any other black people in the U.S. Reason being is because we grew up seeing people that look like us successful. We grew up seeing our government looking like us, lawyers, doctors, teachers, accountants, smart people, athletes looking like us. So we already have that sense of confidence. We already have that foresight that, somebody that looks like me achieved that, so I can do it as well. So I already feel like that's an advantage. But again, I always say misery will always find company. And police like to find misery, and so does ICE.
So they get paid. That's how they get paid.
Exactly.
I have 2 more questions.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I will ask you a question as well.
Sure. Do I ask another after?
But one.
So what is your plan for Jamaicans in Panama City Beach?
So my plans for Jamaicans in Panama City Beach is twofold. Is one, just to educate on the immigration process, because I feel like coming here and seeing a lot of the broken cases, if they started out better, there wouldn't be broken cases. So one, just to provide the access to the information. Right, so if you go out there and make a bad decision from an immigration standpoint, that means I want to say almost you chose it, because there's information here to do it the right way, right? And second fold is to definitely offer support to the entrepreneurs, the Jamaican entrepreneurs. I feel like Jamaicans are the best entrepreneurs. Like, I've never met a Jamaican with one job. you know. Never met a Jamaican with one job. So just to educate not educate, but just offer support as to the different resources that are out here and the different levels that are out here for entrepreneurs and business owners. But overall, just to create access meaning the information and the resources are there. And the Jamaican people just need to stop with the whole, yo, I don't want people in my business, I'm going to need this person, I'm going to need that person. You know, the best quote I've heard over the last 5 years is, if you want to go somewhere fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together.
That's true.
And that's what people feel to understand. That's true.
So, second and final question. Why should the people choose Sekou Clarke Law Group?
So why should they choose us? You know, I mean, I don't want people to choose me because I am Jamaican. I want people to choose us because we get good results. You know, and I think, you know, again, we are not perfect. You know, we're human. You know, we are growing. Everything may not smooth. You know, sometimes the office is jammed up and you can't get through. But I feel like that's any good law firm. If you can call a law firm and get through to the lawyer every single day, every minute of the day, that means they know about what the case is. But outside of that, because we get good results and people don't know this, but in my law firm, it's 100% immigrants. 100%. Everybody in my law firm had to go through the immigration process. Because I want, when somebody's working on your file, they went through it personally. They know what it feels like. On the other side, it's not just somebody who just went to school and just doing this to make money, but they know what it feels like. So the representation that you get will reflect that.
Understood. So that's it. What's your question to me?
What is it like as a Jamaican in Panama City Beach?
What is it like, or what has it been like?
What has it been like?
Like any other journey.
Yeah.
It smooth sometimes and rocky sometimes. But you have a drive and a determination to be above average.
Yeah.
For me personally, I have to give thanks for Panama City Beach.
Yeah.
Because it has played a major role in my development. You understand, as well as the Jamaican people.
Yeah.
Right? And I have a lot of influence on the people in Panama City Beach. You understand? But what be that also can break it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, over the past year I've been broken. You understand, by seeing people that have been there.
Yeah.
Right? So I now, currently I'm just taking a step up to those work for myself personally, to come back better.
Yeah.
You understand? And to also give back to the Panama City population, my Jamaican community.
Okay.
And because we still not forgetting.
Yeah.
I understand this will go down bad.
Yeah. So do you feel there's a sense of community here where, like, say, boy, if you have an issue, if people will rally around you and try to help you?
It's more on the negative side.
Okay.
But there has to
Is that your personal experience, or do you think that it's just the collective?
collective. I don't speak personally, but collectively I've seen it. I have seen it. And there are other persons that can also attest to it. You understand? But I think it can be fixed.
How do you see it being fixed?
How can it be fixed? I think there should be a board of not only the regular Jamaican people, but also with entrepreneurs, the big entrepreneurs, and also the small ones that come together collectively and decide, say, we're going to create something that can be beneficial to the Jamaican people. You understand? So if there's an issue, we can be able to fix it within our community, right? And help whosoever, wherever needs help. You understand? But you have to have somebody who will step up to it.
Yeah.
You understand? And too much people that watch the other person to say, all right, then now make a step, now make a step. Right? Because if you are the smaller man, they will say, if you not do it, which are the bigger man who ain't able to do it.
Yeah.
So it's more like, yeah, what somebody, if they never do it, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
You understand? So you have to have that bigger person that will step up to the plate and just start it. Just make it start.
Okay. Where do you see Panama City Beach in 5 years?
Panama City Beach in the Peruvian Miami.
Yeah.
A lot of development taking place, and I would advise persons that have a mindset of growing or building to remain Panama City to read what is to come
Okay.
instead of running away from it.
Would you still encourage more Jamaicans to come?
Yes, I would encourage more Jamaicans to come, but on an illegal basis. Because if you don't come on an illegal basis, you're going to be miserable. You're not going to reap the reward that is to come. You're not going to.
Okay.
But once you're in a legal bearing, then
Yeah.
they'll reap it.
Oh.
I think that from to Panama.
Okay. All right.
See you.
Well, I'm glad we're here, and we are here to serve 100%. And no matter what I say, we are here to serve. Again, things may not be perfect, but one thing I want people to know is that I give my entire firm the mindset of an athlete, in that we are very goal. So our goal once you come in is to get you your green card or your citizenship, or prevent you from getting deported. Sometimes in between, the wires may cross, but there's always one goal, and that's what we're working towards.
And I must say that Sekou Clarke Law Group has played a major role in the Panama City area over the past year, because it's been here over a year, right?
Yeah, it's over a year, yeah.
2 years.
2 years now, 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. Time flies.
Time flies.
And Sekou Clarke Law Group has impacted Panama City in a major way. Where, you have a lot of receipt.
Yeah. Where receipts out in.
Can speak for that, a lot of receipt.
Yeah.
You understand? A few of my bumps here and there, but
of course.
who doesn't
That's expected.
hear that?
Mm-hmm.
But there's more good. And me personally, I don't know if I can speak for the Jamaican population, Panama City.
Yeah.
But we appreciate the work that you've been doing.
Appreciate that one.
Yeah.
And we're just getting started.
I would imagine so.
We're just getting
I would imagine so.
Yeah, one.
Another point to note as well, whenever you're ready to buy or purchase a building in Panama City, I'll be a man.
That's the next place, because every branch will own its own building. That's the firm, and that's the next thing we want to push the Jamaican people, man. Ownership. Right? It's not about owning clothes, car, jewelry. It's about owning property, and the resources are there. All right? Yes.